Aloha, my fellow artists. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I commonly paint holiday scenes or florals, and there is going to be a little bit of foliage in today's artwork. But I just got back from Hawaii, and I saw all kinds of tiki totem poles and tiki things and beautiful plants. So we're just gonna have a little fun, and we're going to paint a tiki totem head. I think that's what, I don't know what you call them. And with some foliage. And you'll see the photos of my reference photos that I actually took when I was in Hawaii. And I'm waving these around because I am going to use my grabby. I'm going to use my 3/0. I'm going to use my 3, my 5, and my 7. I think. If I use another one, I'll put it down in the description. But these are the ones I'm going to use. This is my favorite set. I did recently just get another set, but look, they're still in the packaging. So, you know, I'm not sure. Maybe we will test them out together in the next video. But so I'll be using these, and I did lay out some tube paints on a new palette. It's a little like closable palette because I thought I might travel around to paint. And the paints that are in this palette are these here, which they are Cotman watercolor tubes. You haven't really seen me use these before. I will commonly use this palette that is like preset colors because it has the sparkly bits and the bright colors, and I do suspect that I'm going to dip into this guy right here because this is a bright, almost fluorescent pink, and the leaves that I took photos of that I'm going to use had just this amazing natural pink, and I'm just so excited because pink and green is like one of my favorite combos. So I do suspect this is going to be used, and this is a little palette that closes like this, also by Grabby. Not sponsored, but you know, if Grabby wants to become friends, you know, aloha. All right, I'm also going to use, instead of babcha, I'm going to use one of my tiki glasses. I don't know if you guys can see. Look at him. Rah. Look. I love it. So I'm going to use one of my tiki glasses. I got this one also. Tiki glasses for my water vessel. And yeah, so get your paints out, get your paper out, and let's have some fun.
All right, so I sketched out this tiki totem pole mask face guy. I'm not sure what you call him. He's a tiki man. He's a tiki man from the tiki room. So I sketched him out just in regular pencil. And now what I'm trying to do first, you're going to see during this that I'm just jumping all over the place because oftentimes I'm not sure where to start. So the bottom portion there, I just put some brown in that's going to be behind that turtle. And then you see the little sort of dots. I took a wet Q-tip and I sort of scooped out little areas that are going to be where the carver of this tiki mask dug out those little sort of grooves around the turtle. So now I'm just laying in the base color of the pineapple and then jumped over to the blue. I guess what I'm doing is I'm jumping around to allow parts to dry while I am going to other parts so that I can go back and add further detail without it bleeding together. So this little turtle down here. Also, I have to say that when you are using a reference photo of something that is a handmade piece of art, specifically something that is meant to be rough, like it's not super detailed, and I mean, it's carved wood. So my intention here, or I guess I should say my challenge, is to hold true to the rough carved look of this mask. And that is a challenge for me. And the reason why is because I am all about exact details and making things look very smooth. And the texture of the carving of this mask is just not smooth. So we're heading into quite a challenge here. Also, as with most watercolor paintings that I do, I'm going to be adding layers on layers on layers, specifically around the eyes there, because I noticed when looking at this mask that the dye or paint colors that they used around the eyes and in the mouth area was all this sort of beet red or blood red color, and they used that color in the pineapple, around the turtle. It just all felt very authentic and natural. So I wanted to stick to that. I wanted to stick to that and make it not as smooth as you can see it is right now. So we're just placing in the eyebrows, and then I'm using that clean brush to pick up pigment to try to create that texture that exists on this mask. So it's sort of, some painters might say when you're doing something that has a rough texture and is not exact, maybe that's a little bit freeing. You feel, I don't have pressure. But for me, it's the opposite. I feel stressed and pressure to make it look carved and rough and not exact and smooth. Because if I am to make it exact and smooth, then it's going to be more sort of childlike or cartoonish, and I don't want that. I want it to have the look of carved wood. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking that dark brown and I'm outlining those circles in the lower wood portion that are going to be the carved out bits. And then I'm taking my brush with just some water and I'm blending it to just make it look like that is a groove. And I've never done that specific thing before, but and I kind of tried a couple different ways. So down here I'm like, maybe if I do the whole thing instead of a circle, and then I can wipe it out, but I didn't really love that. So I went back to the first. A lot of times when you're watercoloring, you just sort of do what works. And if you find something not working, pivot. You gotta just pivot. So now I'm popping in that blue that's there. Well, it's kind of like the blue aqua teal color that is the turtle. That's what's just under the pineapple up top between his eyebrows. Yeah, so as I'm going along, I'm like, how am I gonna make this look like wood? Because it's not looking like wood. And always adding like a little bit darker of a shadow than you think always works out. I mean, it really does. You're like, oh, look at that. It just gave it dimension and made it pop. So now I'm trying to just darken up that wood and give it the warmth that the wood in the mask really has. But I'm trying to go around those carved grooves. This part, the top portion around the pineapple was also had these grooves in the actual mask. You can see in that picture, but I was over it. So the top of the mask I just made sort of up and down carved wood look, which I think it turned out nice. So, yeah, and then I'm just darkening around his little fins, and again I'm really like, all right, I'm gonna make it look carved. I'm trying to stay true to the mask. So what I was doing was moving just a little bit quicker, a little bit more quickly. And now I put the red around, and I'm going to take just a water brush and kind of ask it to bleed down into the teeth. Because in the mask, what it looks like is they put either the stain or the paint or whatever that is in the groove above and below the teeth, and then sort of rubbed it, and that red color stayed in the wood carved texture of the teeth. So that's what I was going for there. And it did indeed sort of muddy up the teeth, but it made it look authentic. So now I'm putting the carved stripes into the pineapple, and in the actual carving, those lines were made with that same blood red color. So I'm almost wondering if that is a traditional pigment used in these masks, or if it just happened to be that when this person was carving this mask, they had that limited palette. So now I'm trying to put in the shadow to make the deep carved areas look a little bit deeper. And here I'm just putting in that wood color and just completely abandoning the idea of trying to create those carved grooves up in the top area. So along that same idea, the pupils of this mask are really just like wiped off pigment and a little bit of white pigment like sort of smeared on the eyeball. So, I mean, it is very rough. It is not looking like an actual eyeball. So I'm like, nope, I'm doing it. I'm staying true. I'm gonna let it have its texture. But the sunlight, so this was in between, hanging on the wall in between two windows in the breakfast nook, or breakfast restaurant, the nook of the restaurant. So the light was hitting either side of the mask. So I'm trying to make it look, like a curved piece by using those shadows on the edges. But also in this case, the light was actually hitting the edges. So now I'm like, I'm trying to decide, like, how am I going to make it kind of not shiny, but the carving did have a glaze over it. So I'm gonna, if you guys have watched other videos of me painting, I'm gonna pull out that white Posca pen and put some white accents on him. And so I just, here it is. There's the white Posca paint, and I'm just trying to put the glare where I see it in the photo, just to give it like some reflection so that it has light on it. And I'm just sort of copying what I see. I'm just sort of like, oh, well, it has it here, so I'm going to put it in. And I tried to put a little bit of white, like around the border of, in the red around the turtle, to just sort of give it a glare, because that mask does have like a glossy lacquer over the top of it. So we're going to try to make him sort of like, oh, and this whole time in my head, I've got like the music from the tiki room just going, like, I was just like thinking about it the whole time. Such a cute mask. I love it. And as I'm giving him those sort of shines and depth, I feel like he's sort of coming to life. So cool. I urge you as artists, I urge you to, when you're on vacation and you're, noticing things, or even not on vacation, even if you're just, around town and you see something really cool, like I saw this mask on the wall at the breakfast restaurant, snap a photo of it, because you'll want that reference photo to recreate it later. And the more you snap photos of things, you won't have to paint from memory, sort of thing. So now we just sort of jumped in. I had taken a little bit of a break, and then I came back. I stopped the recording and I came back and I started painting the leaves, and then I went, oh, I gotta hit record. And as you can see, I used my phone for, I was like, I don't know what these leaves look like. And I knew I wanted to put sort of tropical leaves around this plant that I have the photo of. But I didn't know what, I just needed a reference. So I'm just looking at my phone. I just Googled, I think Hawaiian foliage or tropical foliage. And then these I did not sketch. This is rare because generally I will use a pencil and sketch out first. But all of these leaves and foliage around the mask, I'm just freestyling. Yeah. And these Gabby, I guess they're Gabby. I'm never sure exactly how to say this. Grabby, sorry. These Grabby brushes, I'm in love with them. They're just very smooth. The bristles hold the water beautifully. They don't drip. It's just I found them to be so easy to freestyle with. When you have a sketch, you're sort of like, oh, I'm coloring in the lines. But you get to get a little wild when you're just freestyling. And as I'm doing this, I'm just remembering when I came across this plant with this vivid pink, like, undertone. I just was like so in love with it and so wowed by it. So I knew that I had to add it to my tiki painting. So I'm just adding these cool leaves in here. And I did notice as I'm painting that my tiki guy is kind of off center, which makes my brain hurt a little bit. So I was adding in, leaves here, leaves there, trying to pull it somehow. See, I just trying to, how I'm going to make this thing look centered. So what I've decided to do is just trim off the white on the right-hand side and make to force him into the center. So I'll be trimming off that little white area on the side. And then that one pink leaf, I painted right over the tape that's holding down the paper. because when I pull the tape off, it'll just pull that part off and it's no big deal. Yeah. And it's always nice to sort of allow something to come out of the frame. I just feel like sometimes when you're keeping everything inside the frame, it almost gives a feeling of crampedness to the viewer. And if you allow things to sort of leave the frame, I think it's more relaxing to view, something like that. So now I'm just adding some green leaves that don't really exist in that plant, but I was just sort of trying to balance out the color. I'm gonna pull off the tape. See, it took off the tip of that leaf, and that's okay. Remember when you're pulling off the tape to pull, I don't know what I was thinking. I just pulled straight down, and you can rip your paper if you don't pull it like away from the painting. And I just didn't do that here. And there he is. And I am in love with him.